making violence, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so call you back. You've been making violence, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so call you back. Cause the profits here now. You better man up and bring that up. Cause the profits here now. See hanging on the corner, see hanging on the streets. Some other on the phone, something you never see. I got that Bible on me, don't need no gun. You got them questions, I get it like everyone. Looking like I come for war, even when I come in peace. 3 times I pray to the Lord, 3 times I turn to these. Pop out to the club, sipping on that cup. Everything you do, I done did and I gave it up. You've been making violence, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you've been making violence, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you better man up. Cause the profits here now. You better man up and bring that up. Cause the profits here now. Making violence, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you've been making violence, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you better man up. Cause the profits here now. You better man up and bring that up. Cause the profits here now. So you think you a man, cause you pushing them drugs, while I'm taking care of my family and showing them love. And you thinking you high, well I'm thinking you not. Cause what really makes you a man is keeping the laws of God. Wait a minute, let me tell the truth. Life and death is set before you, what you gon' do? And if you wanna get them demons from before you, and I suggest you start repenting, man. Making violence, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you better making violence, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so cause the profits here now. Profits here, yeah. You better man up. Profits here, we the saviors of the day. You've been making violence, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you've been making violence, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you better man up. Cause the profits here now. Profits here now. You better man up. Cause the profits here now. Fire, God's words is a fire. If you never get burned, you will never shine brighter. So we're gonna make it hotter. Kunkel, take a look now, coming to the fire. Like a brother Azariah. Praise up, going in, coming in the higher. Mishat, look around you. See an angel right behind you. All the DCs to be capping it up. I'm the real king and there's no other one. When I touch down, your timing is up. Pouring off fury, so give me your cup. So you give me your cup and I'm filling it up. Babylon falling, ain't no other run. Ain't no one stopping until all is done. Blowing the trumpet and bang on the drum. You've been making violence, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you've been making violence, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you better cause the profits here now. You better man up and bring that up. Cause the profits here now. You've been making violence, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you've been making violence, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you better man up. Cause the profits here now. You better man up and bring that up. Cause the profits here now. Kill my enemies. Big na side, oh Lord, they violent.
Hey, shalom, shalom, Israel. Most High Christ bless. Officer Jez covering for Captain Joel. Man Up Mondays. Man Up Mondays. All praises to Most High. It's always an honor to cover for the Cap. Tonight's title, we're going to jump right into it. We got a little late start. But before I begin, I just want to know if y'all can hear me loud and clear. Just type Y if you can hear me. Type N if you cannot hear me. All right. All praises, all praises, all praises. So, tonight's title is we're going to go into the tribe of Judah a little bit, all right? So tonight's title is called Judah, the Young and Old Lion. Judah, the Young and Old Lion. So, we're going to go into the Turbulent Sixties leading up to today and the events that took place during the 60s, the events that took place during the 70s after the Turbulent Sixties, okay, when a lot of our black leaders were assassinated, and what took place after that? What did a so-called white man institute and put in place after the Turbulent Sixties? Okay, so we're gonna get into that today, just a little bit, just brief, not gonna be long-winded tonight. All right. Let's get Genesis 49 and verse 8.
Genesis chapter.
Yeah, there you go. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 49, verse 8.
Read.
Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise.
So the Bible says, Judah, thou art he whom read again.
Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise.
Thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Why? Why would the rest of the tribes praise Judah? Why? Because Judah will be bringing out the truth to them. Okay, get Deuteronomy 33 and 7. Judah will be, no, first get Zechariah. Give me Zechariah. Let me show you about the tribe of Judah.
Zechariah chapter 12, verse 7. The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first.
Read it again.
The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first.
So the Lord said he would save the tents of Judah first. All right. Read on.
That the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah.
Right. Why? Because Judah will be the one to what? Bring this truth out to the other tribes. That's why the other tribes will be praising Judah. Now, let's get Deuteronomy 33 and 7.
Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 7.
Read.
And this is the blessing of Judah. And he said, Hear, Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him, and be thou an help to him from his enemies.
Read it again.
And this is the blessing of Judah. And he said, Hear, Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people.
And bring Judah unto his people. Okay, so Judah will be the one doing what? They will be the one to be doing the traveling, going to who? The rest of the tribes, bringing out this truth to them. Judah will be going throughout the earth to teach the rest of the tribes, to bring this truth to them. Okay, so read it again.
And this is the blessing of Judah. And he said, Hear, Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people.
And bring him unto his people. Give me Zechariah 2 and verse 6.
Zechariah chapter 2 and verse 6.
Let me get there 1 second. Go ahead.
Ho, ho, come forth, and flee from the land of the north, saith the Lord. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heaven, saith the Lord.
Read that again. Read verse 6 again.
Ho, ho, come forth, and flee from the land of the north.
The land of the north is North America. The land, I'm going to say it again. The land of the north is North America. Read.
Saith the Lord. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heaven, saith the Lord.
Right, because why? We are scattered throughout the earth. Read.
Deliver thyself, O Zion.
Deliver thyself, O who?
Zion.
O Zion, Israel. Okay, Zion, Jerusalem. Read.
That dwellest with the daughter of Babylon.
That dwells with the daughter of Babylon. Let's prove who the daughter of Babylon is. Let's prove who the daughter of Babylon is. So it says that Zion, Jerusalem, the people will be dwelling with the daughter of Babylon in the land of the north, in North America. Let's see who that is. Read.
Psalm chapter 137, verse 7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. O daughter of Babylon, who ought to be destroyed, happy shall he be.
So wait, hold on. What is King David calling Edom? Who's the daughter of Babylon? Read it from the top again.
Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom.
Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom. Esau, the so-called white man, the red man. You rednecks. Read it again.
Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom.
Remember the children of the so-called white man. Read.
In the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof.
Why? Because what did they do? They helped burn the temple. Okay? Esau burned our temple. And then after they burned our temple and got us up out of the land, helping the Babylonians, they moved in. They started moving in and settling in our land. Just like they doing today. They did the same thing back then. That's why King David saying, read it again.
Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem.
Read.
Who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. O daughter of Babylon.
So Edom is the daughter of Babylon. I'm going to say it again. Edom is the daughter of Babylon. Read.
Who art to be destroyed. Happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones.
Right. So Judah will be dwelling with the daughter of Babylon. Okay, in the land of the north. All right. So what? That's going into slavery. That's going. So we're going to show you. Go back to Genesis. Go back to Genesis. Because as Judah was dwelling with the daughter of Babylon, we went through slavery with Esau. They had us in captivity. Okay. They had they put the pictures up. They put the yokes of iron on our necks. Okay. After that, give me matter of fact, give me Deuteronomy 28:48 real quick. Deuteronomy 28:48. Keep that up there.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
So the Most High is letting you know, letting the Israelites know that they have enemies. Read it again.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies.
And the Israelites will be serving their enemies. Read.
Which the Lord shall send against thee. In hunger.
So the Lord would send the enemy against the Israelites. We would have to serve them in hunger. Read.
And in thirst.
And in thirst. Read.
And in nakedness. And in want of all things.
So if you want to get an education, if you want to get a religion, okay, if you want to bury your father, your mother, if you want to get a job, okay, if you want to get a car, a house, a loan, and want of all things, you would serve your enemies. Read.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
And he should do what?
Put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
And here's proof right here what the enemy did to us. He put a yoke of iron upon our necks, man. So there's your clue of who the enemy is, the so-called white man. They put the yokes of iron upon our necks. Read.
Until he have destroyed thee.
So when was we destroyed as a people? Remember in 1865, remember Bishop just brought it out this past Sabbath with the Civil War that took place. whether they was going to keep slavery or end slavery. But in 1865, they ended it, right? It was called the Emancipation. But why? What happened to us? We were destroyed already. We was gone. They already done had us, we was already trained servants. So they was able to take the leash off our necks now. Okay? So with Esau, remember Judah, it said Zion would dwell with the daughter of Babylon. So from the time that they had us in slavery to even after emancipation, they instituted what? Black codes. They instituted black codes. From that time, they instituted the Jim Crow laws. Okay. You have the KKK that was during that time period. All right. So we was always dwelling with the daughter of Babylon. We will be dwelling with the daughter of Babylon in the land of the north, in North America. All right. Now, go back to Genesis 49.
Genesis chapter 49, verse 8.
Oh, give me Baruch 3 and 10. Sorry, Baruch 3 and 10.
Baruch chapter 3, verse 10. How happeneth it, Israel, that thou art in thine enemy's land, that thou art waxen old in a strange country, that thou art defiled with the dead?
You see that? How happened it, Israel, that thou art in thy enemy's land? Okay, that thou art waxen old. So we're grown old in our enemy's land, in a strange country. Why? Because where's our country? Israel, the land of Israel. All right. And it says that thou art defiled with the dead. Why? Are we physically dead? No, we're spiritually dead. Okay, we are spiritually dead. Why? And give me I want Proverbs 21. Proverbs 21 and 16. Read.
Proverbs chapter 21, verse 16. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead.
So the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. Okay, so that's why we are dead spiritually as a people. Why? Because our people's in what? Different religions. Our people call themselves Baptists. We want to call ourselves Seventh-day Disadvantages. We want to call ourselves Methodists, okay, Catholics, Muslims. What they got? Moorish science. You sovereign. We in all these. We mixed up in all these different religions. That's why we're dead spiritually. Read it again.
The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead.
Mm-hmm. That's it? Yes, sir. All right. From there, now go back. Now we want to go back to Genesis.
Genesis chapter 49, verse 8. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies.
So, Judah, it says, Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thy enemies. When did this take place? So, read verse 1. Read verse 1 so we get the context what's going on.
Verse 1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days.
Hey, look up the word befall. Look up the word befall. I like to look up definitions. Befall. Blow that up.
Befall. Of something bad happened to someone.
Of something bad happened to someone. Of something bad happened to someone. Get some synonyms. What we got?
Happen to, overtake, come upon, fall upon, hit, strike, be visited on,
read,
happen, occur, take place, chance to happen, arise, emerge, come about, transpire, materialize, appear, make an appearance, surface, crop up, spring up, present itself, ensue, follow, result, supervene, go down,
Come to pass.
come to pass.
All right. So drop that. So go back, read that again.
Verse 1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days.
Right. That I may tell you which should overtake you, or which may come to pass, or what's going to happen to you in the last days. We're in the last days. So the prophecy that Jacob is given to his sons is for this time period. This is the prophecy. This is the map of this time period that we're in right now. All right? So, jump back down to verse 8 again.
Verse 8. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies.
So, when Jacob told his son Judah, he said, listen, first off, your brother, they're going to be the ones to praise you. All right? Why? Because you're going to be bringing out the truth to them. Now, he said, look, then your hand will be in the neck of your enemies. If your hand is in the neck of your enemies, what are you doing? You're fighting your enemy. You're literally fighting your enemy. When did this take place for Judah, the so-called black Americans? When did this happen? During the Turbulent 60s. The Turbulent 60s is when we had our hands in the neck of our enemies. That's the time period that spirit came upon us when we rose up to fight our enemies. It was a different spirit back then. Why? Because when you look at the time period that we was with after slavery, emancipation, we weren't trying to fight our enemies. Okay, well, they was setting up laws and whatever. We went back. Matter of fact, we ran back to Esau. We ran back to the plantation after emancipation because we had nowhere to go. So what happened? They came out with the contract system, sharecropping. We became tenant farmers. Then after that, give me some images with the sharecropping. Sharecropping, tenant farmers. Yep. So this is what we ended up doing. Right after slavery, we went right back to the plantation and became sharecroppers, became tenant farmers. All the way up to there was I seen an article where we was still sharecropping to 1965, I think it was. Still in the fields. Still in the fields. Give me that curse. Deuteronomy 28:16.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
And cursed shalt thou be in the field. Even though all the way up until 1965, we were still sharecropping in the field. Now, after that, you had, like I said before, the black codes that was instituted. You had the KKK that was terrorizing us at the same time. Okay? Burning crosses on our lawns, burning down our houses. All right? So, but at that time, there was no spirit on us to fight our enemy. We didn't have that spirit at that time. Let me show you what spirit we had on us from slavery on up till the 60s. At least during the time that we were still sharecropping. Give me Leviticus. Leviticus 26. Yeah, read that. That's the one, the shaking of the leaf?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Leviticus chapter 26, verse 36. And upon them that are left alive of you, I will send a faintness into their hearts in the lands of their enemies. And the sound of a shaken leaf shall chase them, and they shall flee, as fleeing from a sword, and they shall fall when none pursueth.
Right. So that's the type of spirit we had on us. We didn't have that spirit to fight our enemies. We knew we ain't had no military might. We knew we ain't had no economic might. We knew we ain't have all these things. But someone big as hell, like a brother. They call him a buck back then, but someone that had muscle, or whatever. He ran from the shaking of a leaf, from the sound of a shaking of a leaf. That's a spirit that the Most High put on us. You big as hell. You can snap Esau's neck, and you can snap him in half, but yet you running from the sound of a shaking of a leaf. Scared as hell. But that's the spirit we was dealing with during the time of slavery. Even after slavery, black codes, when we was in the doing Jim Crow. Because during Jim Crow, you couldn't I know we went to this museum, the Lest We Forget Museum, and they had it where there was a laughing barrel. I don't know if y'all remember the laughing barrel. There's a laughing barrel, like, so you couldn't laugh on the streets. If Esau seen us laughing on the streets, they had like a laughing barrel or something. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, pull it, blow that up. Yeah, this is real. This is real. This is what was going on. Are you able to read that?
Laughing barrel. Because many enslaved African Americans were closely watched.
This is during Jim Crow.
They could not express their emotions openly. One creative solution to this problem was for the individual to place his or her head in a barrel.
You see that? You see this nonsense, man? So Esau had it where we couldn't express any emotions in front of them on the streets. Read it again.
Because many enslaved African Americans were closely watched, they could not express their emotions openly. One creative solution to this problem was for the individual to place his or her head in a barrel.
So you had to put your head in a barrel in order to laugh, to cry, whatever. Whatever emotion you was trying to express. Look, hey, nigga, go to that laughing barrel over there. You don't do this on our streets here. Go over there. That's for you over there. You want to something funny? Yeah. Go take that to that barrel and put your head in there if you want to laugh. Yeah, that's what was happening with us. Read it again. Finish it up.
Put their head in a barrel and then laugh with delight, all out of the overseer's earshot. Based on this history, the laughing barrel has come to represent the repository of African American humor and a distinctive combination of suppression, resistance, and transcendence, thank you, that marks African American culture.
Right. So this is during Jim Crow here. Okay. After that, after Jim Crow, then it was Jim Crow. Then that was during the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s. Now civil rights kick in. Now the 60s kick in. Now a different spirit came upon us when we had our hands in the neck of our enemies. So we're going to get into that. All right. Give me the Black Power movement, the Wikipedia Black Power movement.
Black Power movement. The Black Power movement was a branch or counterculture within the civil rights movement of the United States, reacting against its more moderate, mainstream, or incremental tendencies and motivated by a desire for safety and self-sufficiency that was not available inside redlined African-American neighborhoods.
Right, so we started to stand up for ourselves. Go ahead.
Black Power activists founded Black-owned bookstores.
So during this time period, we started finding Black-owned bookstores. Go ahead.
Food cooperatives.
So we started having our own food. Go ahead.
Farms.
Farm read.
Media. Printing presses.
Oh, one of the magazines that we did have, and we've brought out some things from the magazines called The Crisis. So a magazine called The Crisis. Okay. You also, during this time, we also came out with Ebony magazine, so forth. So as far as media and printing presses, that goes into your magazines and so forth that we had. We had different news outlets and so forth also. Go ahead.
Schools, clinics, and ambulance services.
So wait. So we had our own schools. We wasn't trying to be we at this time we wanted to be more self-sufficient. Now, we tried to be self-sufficient before. Okay, so because after slavery, we also came together and started our own black communities, thriving black communities. Okay, the most well known was the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that was burned down in 1921. Okay, you also had in D.C., Atlanta, New York, Central Park. Okay, so these were thriving black communities that we had in the 20s after we came out of slavery. So we had common sense to put our money together, okay, to be self-sufficient, to get away from the enemy. All right, but Esau didn't like that, so that's why they came after us. All right, so now read on.
The international impact of the movement includes the Black Power Revolution in Trinidad and Tobago.
So it says the international impact of the movement includes, click on that. This is Benjamin. Let me tell you, this is how far the movement went, man. This is Benjamin right here.
The Black Power Revolution, also known as the Black Power Movement, 1970 Revolution, Black Power Uprising, and February Revolution was an attempt by a number of social elements, people and interest groups in Trinidad and Tobago to affect socio-political change.
You see that? So now a different spirit was coming on the tribe of Judah and influencing the other tribes at the same time. Go back. Let's finish reading. We didn't have that, what's the spirit, the shaking of the leaf spirit no more. This is a different spirit right here. Read. This is a more revolutionary spirit to go fight the enemy now. Read.
By the late 1960s, Black Power came to represent the demand for more immediate violent action to counter American white supremacy.
You see that? Go ahead.
Most of these ideas were influenced by Malcolm X's criticism of Martin Luther King Jr.'s peaceful protest methods. In 1965, assassination of Malcolm X, coupled with the urban riots of 1964 and 1965, ignited the movement.
Right. So there was different riots going on. 1964, 1965, you had the Watts riot over in Watts. Watts section, I think that's in California. And yeah, Watts. Go ahead.
New organizations that supported Black Power philosophies, ranging from the adoption of socialism by certain sects of the movement to Black nationalism, including the Black Panther Party, grew to prominence.
Right, read.
While Black American thinkers such as Robert F. Williams and Malcolm X influenced the early Black Power movement, the Black Panther Party and its views are widely seen as the cornerstone.
Go down. Origin. Yeah, read. Do I want that yet? Go up. Yeah, go ahead. You can read there.
Origins. The first popular use of the term Black Power as a social and racial slogan was by Stokely Carmichael, later known as Kwame Ture, and Willie Ricks, later known as Mukasa Dada, both organizers and spokespeople for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. On June 16, 1966, in a speech in Greenwood, Mississippi during the March Against Fear, Carmichael led the marchers in a chant for Black Power that was televised nationally.
Hey, you see it says in a speech in Greenwood, Mississippi during a March Against Fear. Okay. It says Carmichael led the marchers in a chant for Black Power that was televised nationally. Read.
The organization Nation of Islam began as a Black nationalist movement in the 1930s.
So, see how all these movements are starting to rise up at this time, during the 60s. All right? There's a lot of movements that's starting to come up on the rise, even in Benjamin in Trinidad and Tobago. All right? Go ahead.
The organization Nation of Islam began as a Black nationalist movement in the 1930s, inspiring later groups.
Read.
Malcolm X is largely credited with the group's dramatic increase in membership between the early 1950s and early 1960s, from 500 to 25,000 by one estimate, from 1,200 to 50,000 or 75,000 by another.
Jump down to after the Watts riot.
After the Watts riots in Los Angeles in 1965, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee decided to cut ties with the mainstream civil rights movement. They argued that blacks needed to build power of their own, rather than seek accommodations from the power structure in place. SNCC migrated from a philosophy of nonviolence to one of greater militancy after the mid-1960s.
Mm-hmm.
The organization established ties with radical groups such as the Students for a Democratic Society. In late October 1966, Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale founded the Black Panther Party.
So now you have the Black Panther Party that rose up in 1966. Now this happened after the Watts riot. Go ahead.
And formulating a new politics. They drew on their experiences working with a variety of black power organizations.
Okay. So what I'm showing you is that during this time, during the turbulent 60s, remember, the scripture says that what? Judah, his hand would be in the neck of his enemies. So the Black Panthers rose up. Civil rights movements was taking place. Nation of Islam was taking place. Okay. You had other black nationalist groups that was taking place. Okay. And at the same time, we was also influencing the other tribes. You have the young lords that stepped up. Hey, give me the young lords. Give me the young lords. Ephraim. Right. So look, you had the young lords that was also moving. Look, this is the tribe of Ephraim right here, so-called Puerto Ricans. Okay, so they rose. So Judah was always popping it off. Judah popped it off. Everybody followed suit. That's what happened. Judah popped it off. Everybody started following suit, man. All right, so that's Ephraim. Give me AIM with Gad, the American Indian Movement. And give me Jeremiah 50:33. So, okay, so you had the AIM movement, the American Indian Movement that was happening around the same time. Why? Because we all knew that we were the same people with a common enemy. Read that.
Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 33.
Read.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go.
Right. So the children of Judah and the children of Israel were oppressed together. All right. So that's why you see the different movements that was popping up, including Northern Kingdom. All right. Because we was all oppressed together, fighting. All right. From there, hey, give me that's in the article to you, the 1967 Newark. So I'm gonna give you an example of us fighting our enemies, our hands in the neck of our enemies.
A riot started in Newark 50 years ago. It shouldn't have been a surprise. On Wednesday in Newark,
blow it up some more. Blow it up. All right, good.
On Wednesday in Newark, New Jersey, members of the community will gather at a memorial to 26 citizens of that city. Under an inscription, we will forever remember the names of those whose lives were lost. It lists the names of those who were killed during a riot that began 50 years ago.
Right, took place right in Newark, New Jersey. Go ahead.
But as urban riots in recent history have drawn comparisons to those of a half century ago, it's clear that while the names of the fallen are an important piece of history, there's something else worth remembering too. The incident that sparked the Newark riot occurred during the early evening of July 12, 1967, when a black cab driver was beaten and arrested by two white police officers for a minor traffic infraction in Newark's Central Ward area.
Right.
As
same. Hey, nothing's changed, man. The only thing changed is that we have cell phones now.
Right.
That's it. Same thing going down, same thing happening today to us. Difference is we have cell phones. You able to record it. Go ahead.
As word of the incident spread, a crowd gathered outside police headquarters where the injured driver, who was rumored to be dead, was being held. Despite calls to remain calm, frustrated protesters, fed up with the lack of response to their concerns, began throwing rocks, breaking police station windows. 2 days of looting followed, and when the looting stopped, the killing began. as New Jersey Governor Richard J. Hughes called in state troopers and the National Guard to restore order. The violence only escalated, resulting in the loss of life. By the time the fighting ended on July 17th, the level of property damage was massive, and injuries were in the hundreds.
Right. So this is an example of us rising up against the enemy, with our hands being the neck of our enemies. All right. Like I said before, we wasn't doing anything like this in the right after slavery. We wasn't doing like this in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. Okay, we weren't thinking of anything like that. But when the 60s came around, that's when it was going down. That's when that spirit changed in us. All right, that's like the prophecy said, our hand will be in the neck of our enemies. This was happening during the 60s, man. That's what we proving. All right, read on.
2 weeks after the riot, President Lyndon B. Johnson appointed Illinois Governor Otto Kerner Jr. to lead a National Advisory Commission on Civil Disorder to investigate what had happened and why. But the answer to those questions had, in a way, already been given. In fact, Martin Luther King Jr. aptly predicted such a riot in a speech titled The Other America, which he delivered at Stanford University on April 14, 1967, 3 months prior to the unrest. All of our cities are potentially powdered kegs, he said. While King maintained his commitment to nonviolent civil disobedience, he also recognized the psychology of oppression, stating, "But
hey, what did Martin Luther King meant that all of the cities are powdered kegs, meaning they was ready to blow? Why? We was ready to get it popping, man. That's what he meant by powdered kegs. Okay, because why? We couldn't take it no more. We could not take it no more. So we was starting to rise. We was rising up against white supremacy. We was rising up against the enemy. Go ahead.
But in the final analysis, a riot is the language of the unheard. And what is it that America has failed to hear? It has failed to hear that the plight of the Negro poor has worsened over the last few years. It has failed to hear that the promises of freedom and justice have not been met. And it has failed to hear that large segments of white society are more concerned about tranquility and the status quo than about justice, equality, and humanity.
You see that? Go ahead, read on.
And as long as America postpones justice, we stand in a position of having these recurrences of violence and riots over and over again.
Right. So you had a riot. Riots was popping up all over the place during this time. All right. You had Newark, Watts, Chicago. Okay, it was going down. All right. From there, give me Ezekiel 37. Because something else also started to happen during this time also. Ezekiel 37.
Verse 10.
No. Let me get there. Verse 6. You start verse 6.
Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 6. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise. So
the valley of the dry bones. This is the parable of the valley of the dry bones. It's talking about Israel. All right, it's talking about us gaining some type of identity, some type of self for ourselves. Okay, but we wasn't yet in the truth. Okay, that breath wasn't in us yet, as far as the Spirit of the Lord. All right, read on.
So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together.
So this was going on during the 60s. We're going to prove it. So he said the bones started coming together. Go ahead.
Bone to his bone.
Uh-huh.
And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them.
Right. We didn't have God's laws in us. But we started to have some type of understanding of who we are. Okay. But we didn't fully know who we were, but we started to try to gain some type of identity. All right. Now, yeah, exactly. Like, look, I'm a man. I'm a man. Why? Because they always said we was what? 3/5 of a man. Right. But during the 60s, he was like, nah, I'm a man. So we started standing up. Okay. Give me the Black is Beautiful movement. Yes, Black is, let me see, that's, yeah. Oh, nah, that it? That what I want? Yeah, that's it. Read that.
Black is Beautiful is a cultural movement that was started in the United States in the 1960s by African Americans.
You see that? See, all this was going on during the 60s, man. You had us rising up, and then now you got the Black is Beautiful movement. Why? Because we started gaining some type of having some type of identity of self, of who we are. Go ahead.
It later spread beyond the United States, most prominently in the writings of the Black Conscience Movement of Steve Biko, in South Africa. Black is Beautiful got its roots from the Negritude movement of the 1930s. Negritude argued for the importance of a pan-African racial identity among people of African descent worldwide.
You see that? So that's the example of the sinews coming upon us, but no breath. All right, we didn't have that Spirit of the Lord in us as of yet. Go ahead.
It aims to dispel the racist notion that Black people's natural features, such as skin color, facial features, and hair, are inherently ugly.
Right, because Esau told us that. Esau the one. Hey, give me that clip with Malcolm X. Give me that clip with Malcolm X real quick. Yeah, who told you that your skin was ugly? Who told you? Because that was the notion. Because after slavery, guess what? We started perming our hair. Okay, we started putting the what they call it, the laxative in our hairs. We started using the straightening comb. Why? Because we trying to look like the enemy. Because why? They put in our head that the way we look was ugly. They called us monkeys. That's it. Y'all got the disclaimer, all right?
Who taught you, please, who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate, you should ask yourself who taught you to hate being what God gave you.
All right, you can drop that. You can go back to the Wikipedia. So who taught you to hate yourself? All right, go back where you left off.
It aims to dispel the racist notion that Black people's natural features, such as skin color, facial features, and hair, are inherently ugly.
Read.
John Locke was long thought to be the first person to coin the phrase, Black is Beautiful, during a speech in 1858, but historical records indicate that he never actually used the specific phrase on that day. The movement also encouraged men and women to stop trying to eliminate African-identified traits by attempting to lighten or bleach their skin.
You see that? Give me Proverbs 3:31.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor.
The Bible says, envy thou not the oppressor. Read.
And choose none of his ways.
Don't choose any of their ways. Don't try to bleach your skin. Don't try to look like them. Don't try to dress like them. Don't try to walk like them. Okay? Don't choose any of their ways. anything that Esau do, don't do it. Do the opposite. Read it again.
Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
Right, and choose none of his ways. Let's go back. Let's finish it up.
Bill Allen, a freelance writer for advertising agencies, claimed he coined the phrase in the 1950s. The phrase black is beautiful encompasses emotional and psychological well-being of black people.
Read.
It promotes the black culture and identity, where the black past is an inspirational cultural pride.
Right, so we started, like I said, we started gaining some pride of ourselves during this time period. All right, go ahead.
It affirms the beauty of blacks' natural features, such as their variety of skin colors, hairstyles, and textures, as well as physical characteristics.
Right, so we started loving ourselves. All right, loving it. We started growing our afros. So that movement, the black is beautiful movement, was going on at the same time. Why? Because we started having some pride of ourselves. Started having started trying to gain some type of identity of self or who we were. All right, started becoming more, having more pride of where we came from. Okay, because before then we never had that type of pride. All right, Esau made sure they kept us down. All right, I'm gonna give you an example of that. Look up, let me see, is it nappy or afro? Look up afro. Look up afro. I'll show you what Esau did. Yeah, the Wikipedia, yep, right. Yeah, just click afro so Wikipedia. Yep, there you go. Go down, let me see. Go down. Nah. Right now, I want with Esau. Go up. Go up. Go down. I'm sorry. Go back up. Go up. Hey, all right. Just start reading from there.
The afro
find it.
Is a hair type created by natural growth of kinky hair, or specifically styled with chemical curling products by individuals with naturally curly or straight hair. The hairstyle can be created by combing the hair away from the scalp, dispersing a distinctive curl pattern, and forming the hair into a rounded shape, much like a cloud or puffball.
They say it like everybody could do that. Right. Go ahead, read.
For people with wavy or straight hair, the hairstyle is created with the help of permanent hair structure changing creams or gels and or other solidifying liquids to temporarily hold the hair in place. Particularly popular in the African American community of the late 1960s and early 1970s.
Jump down. Where is that drink? Oh, right here. Start doing the history of slavery in the United States. Yeah, that's it.
During the history of slavery in the United States, most African Americans styled their hair in an attempt to mimic the styles of the predominantly white society in which they lived.
You see that? That's what was going on. It says African American hairstyles prior to the 1960s. Prior to the 1960s. Go ahead. This is what we was doing. We was mimicking Esau.
Afro-textured hair, characterized by its tight kinks, has been described as being kinky, coarse, cottony, nappy.
That's why your moms and your family members, they say, "Oh, you got that nappy hair." I'm looking for the part where it showed that it came from Esau. Esau, the one that coined that term nappy in slavery. It's a derogatory term for our hair, nappy. Go ahead.
Or woolly.
Or woolly. That beautiful woolly hair. Go ahead.
These characteristics represented the antithesis of the European American standard of beauty and led to a negative view of kinky hair. As a result, the practice of straightening gained popularity among African Americans.
So now, because Esau made these terms right here, kinky, coarse, cottony, nappy, or woolly, they made them derogatory towards us. We said, damn, let's start straightening our hair. Let's look like them, because the kinky, the coarse, the cotton and nappy, or the woolly hair is bad hair. You see how they play on the mind? Now we like, damn, so their hair is the beautiful hair. So now, guess what? Now we started straightening. Go ahead.
The process of straightening the hair often involved applying caustic substances, such as relaxers containing lye, which needed to be applied by an experienced hairstylist so as to avoid burning the scalp and ears.
Yeah, example of that, you see the Temptations, the way they, the way we had our hair. Yeah, that was the lye they was using. Even Malcolm X had that. Yeah, in the movie he burned because it burned. Today is perms and all of that. Go ahead.
Those who chose not to artificially treat their hair would often opt to style it into tight braids or cornrows. With all of these hairstyling methods, one ran the risk of damaging the hair shaft, sometimes resulting in hair loss.
Remember in the series Dim? Remember she got her hair. Remember she straightened her hair and it caught on fire. Yeah, that was going down. Right. All right. Get the 60s and the 70s here, and we're gonna get out of that. Move on.
The effect of the civil rights movement brought a renewed sense of identity to the African American community, which also resulted in a redefinition of personal style that included an appreciation of black beauty and aesthetics.
That's right. Go ahead.
As embodied by the Black is Beautiful movement. This cultural movement marked a return to more natural, untreated hairstyles. The afro became a powerful political symbol which reflected black pride and a rejection of notions of assimilation and integration.
So having an afro was was symbolic of not being assimilated and integrating with Esau. Okay, go ahead.
Not unlike the long and untreated hair spotted by the mainly white hippies.
Right, that long dog hair. Go ahead.
To some African Americans, the afro also represented a constitutive link to West Africa and Central Africa. However, some critics have suggested that the afro hairstyle is not particularly African. In his book, Welcome to the Jungle, New Positions in Black Cultural Studies, cultural critic Kobina Mercer argued that the contemporary African society of the mid-20th century did not consider either hairstyle to denote any particular Africanness.
All right, you could go down. Let me see if there's anything else before I get out. All right, that's it. You get out of there. From there, now, we're going to move into a different segment now. Go back to Genesis 49. Genesis 49, read verse 9. No, you didn't finish up verse 8. Finish up verse 8 and then read verse 9.
Genesis chapter 49, verse 8. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son.
So Judah is a lion's whelp. Judah is a young, ferocious lion. The tribe of Judah is a young, ferocious lion. Understand that. Read on.
My son, thou art gone up. He stooped down. He couched as a lion.
You missed something, right? Read from the top again.
Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up.
Read.
He stooped down. He couched as a lion.
So during the 60s. We stooped down and we couched as a lion, ready to pounce on our enemies. Okay, that's what it means, ready. That's what it means that we stooped and we couched down, ready to pounce on our enemies. This was going on during the turbulent 60s. Read.
And as an old lion.
As a what?
Old lion.
Now, as an old lion. How did the so-called African Americans become an old lion? Remember, Judah was the young, ferocious lion that was ready to pounce on their enemies. Had that young lion-like spirit during the turbulent 60s. But now, as an old lion, how is an old lion? Give me a picture of an old lion. How's an old lion? What is he like? Look at him. Nah, look at my man. Look at him. Yo, oh man. What is sick one? Nah, man, I like the other one. I like the sad old one, man. Yeah, that's. Nah, look at this. This is an old line right here. He don't want to do nothing. He like, man, what? I gotta go to work? Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna sit right here. This is the old line. Give me a young line. Give me a young ferocious line. Yeah, I ain't. Damn. My man ain't getting no food. Yeah, you said. Nah, you said what? Oh, as the crack era? Yeah, we gonna get into that. Give me a young ferocious lion, man. All right, so these some images of a young ferocious lion. This is Judah in their youth during the 60s, ready to pounce on our enemies. All right, now go back to that old lion. Now look at the so-called Black Americans today. This is the old lion that the Bible is speaking of. Don't have that same spirit no more like we had during the 60s. Okay, like how we rising up with that revolutionary spirit during that time, we became the old lion. But I'm gonna go into what happened. Why did we become the old lion? There's something behind that. So we're gonna deal with that. Give me COINTELPRO. Give me COINTELPRO. Get the FBI sets goals for COINTELPRO. All right. Cause understand what happened was you had the FBI head of director, J. Edgar Hoover. Okay, he put some guidelines down to do what? To take us down, to take down our black leaders. All right, to take down our Malcolm X, to take down Martin Luther King, take down Fred Hampton, take down Huey P. Newton, take down Bobby Seale, take down all our black leaders during that time that rose up. All right. Okay, so that's that demon. All right. Give me the FBI sets goals for COINTELPRO. Blow it up, blow it up, blow it up.
The FBI sets goals for COINTELPRO. Under Director J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI's COINTELPRO counterintelligence program was aimed at investigating and disrupting dissident political groups within the United States. In the 1960s, COINTELPRO's targets frequently included civil rights activists, both those who espoused nonviolence like Martin Luther King and those that Hoover referred to as black nationalist hate groups like the Black Panthers. This document outlines the program's goals in attempting to limit the effectiveness of such groups. In practice, the FBI used infiltration.
They use what?
Infiltration.
So they use infiltration. Go ahead.
Legal harassment.
Legal harassments. Defamations. Go ahead.
Disinformation.
Yeah, well, disinformation goes into defamation. Go ahead.
And sometimes extra legal intimidation and violence against King, the Panthers, and other black activist groups in its attempt to discredit and disrupt them.
You see that? So don't be surprised. Same thing's going to happen today. Go ahead.
Goals. For maximum effectiveness of the counterintelligence program and to prevent wasted effort, long-range goals are being set.
So this is the COINTELPRO. These are their goals to accomplish for any black nationalist groups. All right? These are their goals. These are the goals that they're focused. This is their main focus. Go ahead, read.
Number 1, prevent the coalition of militant black nationalist groups.
So, remember, this started during the late 60s. So, what happened was they used these goals to infiltrate and to take down our black leaders during that time, during the 60s, the turbulent 60s, during that time period. All right? So, watch this. Go ahead.
In unity, there is strength, a truism that is no less valid for all its triteness.
Wait, read that again. Sorry.
In unity.
No, just read the whole
yes,
thing
sir.
again.
Prevent the coalition of militant black nationalist groups.
Uh-huh.
In unity, there is strength.
So they know in unity, there is strength. Go ahead.
A truism that is no less valid for all its triteness.
Mm-hmm.
An effective coalition of black nationalist groups might be the first step toward a real Mau Mau, Black Revolutionary Army in America, the beginning of a true black revolution.
So they know when we unify, it's a wrap. That's what he's saying. He knows. Yeah, look. Hey, what's the quote? You got the quote? Bring up the quote, man. Bring that up.
When FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover was asked what, in his opinion, was the single greatest threat to the United States of America, he responded, Negro unity. Take a moment to let that sink in.
He said, take a moment to let that sink in. Just imagine the niggas coming together. That's how he said it. He didn't say Negro unity. He said, just imagine. I want you to let that sink in. Just imagine these Negroes coming together. And what can happen to us? I'm telling you how Esau is thinking. Once they come together, they're going to take over. We cannot have that. So read it again, man.
When FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover was asked what, in his opinion, was the single greatest threat to the United States of America, he responded, Negro unity. Take a moment to let that sink in.
Right. They already, listen, Esau already thinking. He's like, look, we had them in slavery for like over 400 years. If they unify, what do you think they're going to do to us? So they do everything in their power to keep us together. You even see today on your jobs. Esau don't like y'all. Esau don't like us together on the job. No, they don't even like us together. They hate us being together on the job. Yo, what y'all talking about? I experienced it myself. I'm not just saying, no, I experienced it myself. Like, yo, what's going on? Yeah. Just to disrupt what's going on. Infiltrate. Even at the job. You just talking to your man. Probably three of y'all. Like, yo, what y'all doing? What y'all doing over there? Y'all plotting? Nah, man. I'm going to see him, talking about lunch. We about to go eat. Oh, okay. Hey, won't y'all break that up, though? Won't y'all break that up? You go that way, he go that way, and I thought I had you working over here. Yeah. So I've dealt with that. All right, let's go back.
Number 1, prevent the coalition of militant black nationalist groups. In unity, there is strength, a truism that is no less valid for all its triteness. An effective coalition of black nationalist groups might be the first step toward a real Mau Mau, Black Revolutionary Army in America, the beginning of a true black revolution. Number 2, prevent the rise of a Messiah.
Do what?
Prevent the rise of a Messiah.
To prevent the rise of a Messiah. To prevent the rise of a Messiah. Read.
Who could unify.
Who could do what?
Unify.
So the rise of a Messiah, he's able to unify. Go ahead.
And electrify.
He's able to electrify. He's able to bring that spirit. Go ahead.
The militant black nationalist movement.
Read.
Malcolm X might have been such a Messiah. He is the martyr of the movement today. Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, and Elijah Muhammad all aspire to this position.
Read.
Elijah Muhammad is less of a threat because of his age. King could be a very real contender for this position should he abandon his supposed obedience to white liberal doctrines, nonviolence, and embrace black nationalism.
So he said if he leaves what he's doing, so they saying that the civil rights, that wasn't really a threat like that. But if he left that position to go and deal with, like, say, Malcolm X, he's a threat now. He's really going to become a threat. And yes, and he actually did. They was going to come together, and guess what? That's when they took him out. Both of them, right? Go ahead.
Carmichael has the necessary charisma to be a real threat in this way. Number three, prevent violence on the part of black nationalist groups. This is of primary importance and is, of course, a goal of our investigative activity. It should also be a goal of the counterintelligence program to pinpoint potential troublemakers and neutralize them before they exercise their potential for violence. Number 4, prevent militant black nationalist groups and leaders from gaining respectability.
By doing what?
By discrediting them to 3 separate segments of the community. The goal of discrediting black nationalists must be handled tactically in 3 ways. You must discredit those groups and individuals to, first, the responsible Negro community. Second.
So wait. He said you must discredit those groups and individuals to, first, the responsible Negro community. So you got to discredit them in front of us, in front of the rest of the black community. Go ahead.
Second, they must be discredited to the white community.
So discredit them first to their own community. Okay, put out some type of popular persuasion, put out propaganda. Okay, things defame them. Okay, first to their own people. Go ahead.
Second, they must be discredited to the white community.
And then to the white community. Go ahead.
Both the responsible community and to liberals who have vestiges of sympathy for militant black nationalists simply because they are Negroes.
Go ahead.
Third, these groups must be discredited in the eyes of Negro radicals, the followers of the movement.
Right. So would you smite the shepherd and the sheep should scatter? Okay. So they said, look, discredit the leaders. You discredit the leaders, and then that's gonna make the followers scatter. Go ahead.
This last area requires entirely different tactics from the first 2. Publicity about violent tendencies and radical statements merely enhances black nationalists to the last group. It adds respectability in a different way.
The last one?
A final goal should be to present the long-range growth of militant black organizations, especially among youth.
Yeah, because the youth is the one that you can reach out to. Okay, the youth are the ones you can reach out to. When you look at the Black Panther movement, they were teenagers. Fred Hampton was 21 when they assassinated him. They were all teenagers, so they know you can get to the youth. Okay, so they saying, look, make sure you a final goal should be to prevent the long-range growth of militant black organizations, especially among the youth. Okay, go ahead.
Specific tactics to prevent these groups from converting young people must be developed.
So these are goals that they actually use. Okay, this is actually the actual COINTELPRO goals that they actually used against us. Okay, against our black leaders during that time. All right. From there. Now, get me Micah 2:1. Read Micah 2:1.
Micah chapter 2 verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand.
Read it again.
Woe to them that devise iniquity.
The Bible says destruction to them that devise, okay, that plan and plot sin. Go ahead.
And work evil upon their beds.
And they work evil upon their beds. In the morning they thinking, when they go to sleep at night, they thinking evil. And when they get up in the morning, they're thinking evil. Go ahead. They're plotting evil. They're devising evil. They're scheming evil. Go ahead.
When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand.
Why? Because they ruling. This is talking about Esau. They're ruling. They have the power to do these things. They have the power to come up with what I'm about to go into. They have the power to put these things in place. Like with J. Edgar Hoover, he had the power to come up with the COINTELPRO to disseminate our black leaders to disseminate these the groups that we had during the turbulent 60s. It was in their power. Read from the top again.
Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds.
The COINTELPRO code or whatever laws that they came up with, that's devising iniquity. That's devising evil upon their beds. Go ahead.
When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand.
So they're able to practice it. They're able to put it in place because it's in the power of their hands. You can't call us racist. We don't have the power to be racist. They have. Esau got the power to be racist. Okay, so what? They put these type of things in place. Go ahead.
And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house.
So they oppress a man in his house. Read.
Even a man and his heritage.
Okay, even a man and his heritage. Now, get me the war on drugs. Get me the Wikipedia. War on drugs. So, don't forget we're still hitting on the old lion. How did the tribe of Judah become the old lion? Why? We just went into the COINTELPRO. They started putting those things in place. They started infiltrating. Okay, they started putting out propaganda. They started to assassinate our leaders. All right, and once they assassinated our leaders, everybody else started to scatter. They started locking us up, putting us in prison. Okay, so then after that, what happened? Read.
The war on drugs is a global campaign led by the United States federal government of drug prohibition, military aid, and military intervention with the aim of reducing the illegal drug trade in the United States. The initiative includes a set of drug policies that are intended to discourage the production, distribution, and consumption of psychoactive drugs that the participating governments and the United Nations have made illegal. The term was popularized by the media shortly after a press conference given on June 18, 1971 by President Richard Nixon.
Another demon. We're going to read about him in a few. Go ahead.
The day after publication of a special message from President Nixon to the Congress on drug abuse prevention and control, during which he declared drug abuse public enemy number one.
Jump down. 20th century.
20th century.
Is that what I want? Go down a little bit. Yep. Start on October 27th, 1970.
On October 27th, 1970, Congress passed the Comprehensive Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Act of 1970, which, among other things, categorized controlled substances based on their medicinal use and potential for addiction.
Read.
In 1971, two congressmen released a report on the growing heroin epidemic among U.S. servicemen in Vietnam.
Right. So a lot of us was overseas at Vietnam getting hooked on heroin over there. Go ahead.
10 to 15% of the servicemen were addicted to heroin, and President Nixon declared drug abuse to be public enemy number one.
Read.
The motives behind Nixon's campaign against drugs are disputed. John Ehrlichman, who was assistant to the president for domestic affairs under Nixon, was quoted by Dan Baum as saying in 1994,
watch this.
The Nixon
Go ahead.
The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies.
So they saying in 1968, remember, this is around the time that COINTELPRO, the FBI, everybody making moves on us now. They all starting to set the stage to make us that old lion. Hey, give me Exodus 1 real quick. Exodus 1 in verse. You start at verse 9.
Exodus chapter 1 verse 9. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them.
Let us deal what?
Wisely with them.
Let us deal wisely with them. This is when we was in ancient Egypt. Remember, America's is spiritual Egypt. They did the same thing. They said, "Come and let us deal wisely with them." Go ahead, read it again.
And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them.
Read.
Lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
So, same thing. During the 60s, we was about to fight against Esau. So guess what? They said, let us deal wisely with them. Let's dumb them down. Let's infiltrate their groups. Let's put out propaganda. Let's discredit the leaders. Okay? And then after that, let's put the drugs into the communities. Hey, stuff popping in my head, man. I'm sorry. Hey, let's finish reading. Sorry. I don't want to be all over the place. Let's finish reading this and then get me is it Trick Baby? Trick Baby. You know the scene where they talking? Yeah, get that for me.
The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies.
What's the two enemies?
The anti-war left.
So one of the enemies is the anti-war left. Go ahead.
And black people.
So the war on drugs, Nixon was aiming at anti-war left, which was the hippies, and black people. And I'm going to show you about the hippies, too. That was a setup also to come at us. Matter of fact, that you know how Esau get down. They'll use their own people to set the stage for what they really want to do to us. That's what the hippies, that's when they came in. All right? Go ahead.
You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities.
You see that? This is what we was dealing with at this time. This is the war on drugs. This is how the drugs started getting into the communities. Give me Psalms 94 and 20.
Psalm chapter 94, verse 20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law?
Which do what?
Frameth mischief by a law.
This is Esau. This is what they do. They frame mischief by laws. They make up laws, okay, to do what? They make up laws in order to get us, to trap us, whatever they got to do to incriminate us. They will make up a law, manufacture things, create, devise. This is what Esau do, and they still doing it right now. Okay, read on. Where you left off at?
For communities.
Okay, go ahead.
We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news.
You see that? You read that again. Read it one more. Read it from the top again.
The Nixon campaign in 1968
and
the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily.
So that's called what? Popular persuasion. That's propaganda. Media. That's a flood that they did. Okay? That's how they was able to get everybody against us and say, look, blacks, once they started putting it out in the media and so forth, you see us on the news every night, like, damn, look at these niggas. All they do is they on drugs. But Esau was doing it twice. Remember, cocaine was the rich drug. We didn't mess with that. So where did it come from in our communities? They started setting the stage, man, to make us. They started setting the stage so that we became that old lion, putting it, funding the war on drugs. That's what happened. They funded the war on drugs, brought the drugs into our community. That's what we showing you here. Read it again.
The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders.
See that? We could arrest their leaders. So that's when the Black Panther movement, they started arresting Huey P. Newton, Bobby Seale. Go ahead.
Raid their homes.
They started raiding our homes.
Break up their meetings.
So started breaking up any meetings that we had. They started breaking it up. Go ahead.
And vilify them night after night on the evening news.
There you go. That's why you started seeing us more and more on the evening news. Even today, you don't see Esau in the newspaper for a crime. Who you see more? Who they putting up there? Our faces our faces on the front page. Our faces on the front page. Read on.
Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did.
Demon. Hey, get on scripture. What's the scripture in Revelation that accuses us night and day? They accuse us night and day. The accuser of thy brethren. Revelation 12.
Yes. Revelation chapter 12, verse 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night.
You see that? And he just told you he vilified us night after night on the evening news, man. The accuser of thy brethren. That's what Esau wanted to do. That's how their media. Once they put that out there, man, it was a wrap for us. All right. All right. Hey, watch this scene real quick. You can play it.
It's you liberals who have lifted them up, Howard.
Paul, you conservatives make a mistake. You can't afford to strangle hope in people. Without hope,
hey, go back.
People become dangerous.
Go right to the beginning.
It's you liberals who have lifted them up, Howard.
Paul, you conservatives make a mistake.
So, listen, you got liberals and conservatives sitting at the same table. Two heads of the same snake. Go ahead.
Them up, Howard.
Paul, you conservatives make a mistake. You can't afford to strangle hope in people. Without hope, people become dangerous.
No, Howard. You liberals have let them invade our society. You give them jobs, political jobs.
Paul, you missed the point. It's only the smart ones we move up.
That makes it even worse.
No, we have to move them up. If we leave a smart one in the ghetto, he might develop into a leader against us. But if we raise him up into white society, we neutralize him. He feels compelled to try to act like us. He loses his identity and his racial anger, if he has any. He becomes alien to his brothers. They realize he sold them out and they grow to hate him. He becomes worthless to them and safe for us. No, thank you. In fact, in his love for the creature comforts, except for his color, he's become one of us.
That wasn't the one. I thought the one where they said we put drugs in the community. Hey, try the spook that sat by the door. I believe that's it. If not, then we'll move on. I don't know what scene. It might not be it. Hey, until then, get Isaiah 32:5 about the liberals.
Isaiah chapter 32, verse 5. The vile person shall be no more called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful.
Hey, look up the word vile. Look up the word vile. Vile.
Vile. Extremely unpleasant. Morally bad.
Wicked. Oh, so let's use. It says, read it again. Verse 5.
The vile person
The wicked person
shall be no more called liberal.
shall be no more called liberal. Why? Because Esau, they call themselves liberals and conservatives. Okay? So it says the vile person, meaning the wicked person, shall call. So they're never liberal. The liberals, the ones that like he said, they're the ones that give us the jobs. They're the ones that's more lenient on us. Okay? The conservatives are the ones that's like more racist towards us. But the liberals are the ones that's they're more lenient towards it. They're the ones that feel bad for us. So they're the ones that give us the jobs. But the Bible says the vile person, meaning the wicked person, shall be no more called liberal. Read on.
Nor the churl said to be bountiful.
Read.
For the vile person will speak villainy.
For they still speak villainy. Why? They're the same people. They're just as the conservative. Read.
And his heart will work iniquity.
And his heart will work iniquity. Read on.
To practice hypocrisy.
Read.
And to utter error against the Lord. To make empty the soul of the hungry. And he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail.
You see that? So don't believe neither the liberal or the conservative. Okay, they're the same damn people. Esau, the wicked. All right. From there, give me let me send you. I didn't send you this one. 1 second. One second is hold on. Hey, I'm about to send 2 articles to you. Send it to your Telegram. Soja emails. You can pull up the first one. All right, blow it up. Says report. Aid says Nixon's war on drugs targeted blacks and hippies. Read that.
Washington, CNN. One of Richard Nixon's top advisors and a key figure in the Watergate scandal said the war on drugs was created as a political tool to fight blacks and hippies, according to a 22-year-old interview recently published in Harper's Magazine. The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had 2 enemies, the anti-war left and black people. Former Nixon domestic policy chief John Elrickman told Harper's writer Dan Baum for the April cover story published Tuesday. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black. But by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities, Elrickman said. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did. Elrickman's comment is the first time the war on drugs has been plainly characterized as a political assault designed to help Nixon win and keep the White House.
Damn. All right, drop that. Give me get the next one. The next article. The Jim Crow, the drug war, the new Jim Crow.
The drug war is the new Jim Crow. Despite the growing public feeling that the drug war has failed, Attorney General John Ashcroft has declared that he wants to escalate it. I want to renew it, he told CNN's Larry King. I want to refresh it, relaunch it, if you will. And Bush's nominees to fight the drug war have joined in Ashcroft's course. John Walters, the new drug czar, and Asa Hutchinson, the choice to head the Drug Enforcement Agency, or DEA, are promising ever more interdiction, incarceration, and arrests. As the nation prepares to careen further down this pernicious path, the drug war's costs urge a different course. Today, thanks in no small part to harsh sentences for drug crimes, especially for low-level nonviolent offenses, almost 2 million people fill the prisons and jails of the United States.
Right, that 2 million, that's majority us. Majority Israel. Go ahead.
The population of
Israel. Go ahead.
The population of this vast American gulag, if brought together in a territory of its own, would rank as the 35th most populous state, just surpassing Nevada's 1.99 million residents. While incarceration...
Hey, jump down. Right here.
Pervasive racial targeting provides another peculiarly U.S. stamp to the drug war.
Read.
We are incarcerating African-American men at a rate approximately 4 times the rate of incarceration of black men in South Africa under apartheid.
So we getting locked up at a crazy rate, man. Go ahead.
Worse still, we have managed to replicate, at least on a statistical level, the shame of chattel slavery in this country.
Why? In the prison system, the 13th Amendment. Go ahead.
The number of black men in prison, 792,000, has already equaled the number of men enslaved in 1820.
Damn. Read that again.
The number of black men in prison, 792,000, has already equaled the number of men enslaved in 1820.
Can't make that up. Read on.
With the current momentum of the drug war fueling an ever-expanding prison industrial complex, if current trends continue, only 15 years remain before the United States incarcerates as many African-American men as were forced into chattel bondage at slavery's peak in 1860.
Man. It's crazy. Read on.
The war on drugs thus offers seamless continuity with the most shameful episodes of our past. Slaves were bound in plantations from which they could not escape. Now it is prisons that deprive black men of their freedom. For African-American men between the ages of 20 and 29, almost 1 in 3 are currently under the thumb of the criminal justice system.
Right. All right. So these are the statistics of what's going on, even right now, today. All right. Our black men, Latin men getting locked up at a crazy rate. This is mass incarceration right here. Mass incarceration. Go down. Let me see if anything else I want out of here. Yeah. Let me see. Go up. Go down. All right. Get Ronald Reagan. War on drugs, Ronald Reagan. In the 80s now. So Nixon, he set the stage. He plotted out. They went to work as far as the war on drugs. So as when they set the stage, then they started bringing in the drugs. Now watch when with the Reagan administration, watch what happened to us. I think what Reagan was at. He was somewhere in there. Yeah, you can stay there. Right here. Yep. Read it.
The presidency of Ronald Reagan saw an expansion in the federal focus of preventing drug abuse and for prosecuting offenders.
Why? Because they said, hey, Nixon was the first one to set the stage. Like, look, this is what we doing to criminalize blacks. We're gonna and to break up the leaders, to dumb them down. We're gonna put the drugs in the communities, and then from there, go ahead. You see the results with Ronald Reagan.
Reagan signed the Comprehensive Crime Control Act of 1984, which expanded penalties toward possessions of cannabis, established a federal system of mandatory minimum sentences, and established procedures for civil assist forfeiture.
You know what's crazy? It's probably brothers.
Asset forfeiture, I'm sorry.
It's probably brothers still locked up right now from the 80s that had weed on them. Seriously. They still in there. Doing what? Probably gave them 30 years. Go ahead.
From 1980 to 1984, the federal annual budget of the FBI's drug enforcement units went from $8 million to $95 million. According to historian...
Oh, I missed that. From where?
From 1980 to 1984.
Uh-huh.
The federal annual budget of the FBI's drug enforcement units went from $8 million to $95 million.
Damn. Big business, man. Go ahead.
According to historian Elizabeth Hinton, Reagan was a strong proponent for criminalizing drug users during his presidency in the 1980s.
Why? He just carrying on Nixon's. He just like he's furthering the campaign of what Nixon did. Go ahead.
She wrote that he led Congress in criminalizing drug users, especially African American drug users, by concentrating and stiffening penalties for the possession of the crystalline rock form of cocaine known as crack, rather than the crystallized methamphetamine that White House officials recognized was as much of a problem among low-income white Americans.
Right. So he went after us instead of going after Esau. What do you call it?
It's methamphetamine. My fault.
Yeah, you said something crazy. Read that again, man. Read it again.
Oh, man. According to historian Elizabeth Hinton, Reagan was a strong proponent for criminalizing drug users during his presidency in the 1980s. She wrote that he led Congress in criminalizing drug users, especially African American drug users, by concentrating and stiffening penalties for the possession of the crystalline rock form of cocaine known as crack, rather than the crystallized methamphetamine that White House officials recognized was as much of a problem among low-income white Americans.
So there was two problems going on, but he focused on the one problem. He came after us. He didn't go after his people. He like, man, let them smoke and get high all they want. We want them blacks over there. They're the problem. But the Esau, they doing the same thing. They were doing the same thing we was doing. Go ahead.
Support for Reagan's crime legislation was bipartisan. According to Hinton, Democrats supported his legislation as they had since the Johnson administration, though Reagan was a Republican. In 1982, Vice President George H.W. Bush and his aides began pushing for the involvement of the CIA and U.S. military in drug interdiction efforts.
See that? So there's a series out called Snowfall. And Snowfall with Idris Damson. Okay, so they show how the CIA was involved in bringing the drugs into our communities. All right, that started over in L.A. All right, so that's a good series to watch. All right, to show how the drugs came, how the CIA was involved in bringing the drugs into our communities in the early '80s. All right, so like I said, Nixon set the stage, and then look from there. In the '70s and then in the '80s, they was able to come in. Reagan was able to come in and start making the penalties for locking us up and putting us away. It was all a setup the whole time. All right, why? To dumb us down. Okay, they had to they dealt wisely with us. That's what happened. All right. From there, give me Psalms 10 and 7. We almost done, Israel. Almost done. A couple more scriptures. Psalms 10, verse 7.
Psalm chapter 10, verse 7. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud, and his tongue is mischief and vanity. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages.
So let's talk about the so-called white man. Go ahead.
In the secret places doth he murder the innocent.
You see that? So he sitteth where?
In the lurking places of the villages.
So Esau, he sits in the lurking places of the villages, of the hoods, of the ghettos. Go ahead.
In the secret places doth he murder the innocent.
And in secret places do he murder the innocent. Like I said, today we have cell phones today. You understand? We able to record today. But in the secret places, he murdered the innocent. They were murdering us. Go ahead.
His eyes are privily set against the poor.
His eyes are what?
Privily set against the poor.
Did we not just read about their eyes privily set against us? Who would have thought the war on drugs was against us? Who would have thought the war on drugs was to discredit our leaders? To break us up, our meetings and so forth. To dumb us down, that we become that old lion, that we don't rise up again like we did in the 60s. Who would have thought that? Read that part again.
His eyes are privily set against the poor.
Read.
He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor.
How? How did he lie in wait to catch the poor? They started making penalties. They started making, they started setting up different laws. Okay, they started stifling the penalties to come after us now. To lock us up, put us away. Okay, but who would have known that was the plan? Who would have known that was the plan against us the whole time? Why? Because they did it secretly. Go ahead.
He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. He croucheth and humbleth himself, that the poor may fall by his strong ones. He hath said in his heart, God hath forgotten. He hideth.
Yeah, so let's say he humbled himself. You know, during that time they came out with Just Say No. They came out the Just Say No campaign. Like they was on our side. Like, look, just say no. They came out commercial. Michael Jordan had a commercial. Just say no. Yeah, just remember the DARE program? They came out with DARE. But y'all set this whole thing up. But they came out with the DARE program. I'm showing my age, but yeah, DARE. You know, Lion and DARE, is it? Oh, well, anyway, that's the DARE right there. I remember I had the shirt. All right. Yeah. Anyway, so they came out with all these different programs and all these, but they the ones that put the drugs into the community, man. They the one that set the stage, man. And then then that set the stage for them to come after us, lock us up, mass incarceration. All right, you finished reading? Read that again.
He hath said in his heart, God hath forgotten. He hideth his face, he will never see it.
Read on.
Arise, O Lord, O God, lift up thy hand, forget not the humble.
So arise. So that's what we wait for, the Lord to arise up and not to forget us. Read.
Wherefore doth the wicked contemn God? He hath said in his heart, thou wilt not require it.
All right, from there. Give me a couple more scriptures. Give me Isaiah 51 and 20. So during the 80s, with all of this set in place now, what happened to the young lions? What happened to Judah? Watch this. Read.
Isaiah chapter 51, verse 20.
This is a prophecy of us. Now, read.
Thy sons have fainted.
So the Bible says thy sons have fainted. From what? We fainted from who we were, from who we are. We fainted from our identity, our nationality as a people. We fainted from knowing that we are God's chosen people. That's what we fainted from. Read.
They lie at the head of all the streets.
And we lie at the head of all the streets. Any city you go to in America, in Central America, in any other country, we do what?
Lie at the head of all the streets.
You can go outside right now and you will see a bunch of brothers at the head of the streets, at the head of the corner stores, on the blocks. Okay, why? This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing today. Lying at the head of all the streets, doing what? Read on.
As a wild bull in a net.
As a wild bull in a net. Oh, yeah, give me some more pictures. Them old heads, man. He put Chicago. Oh, yeah, he trying to pull his town up. Come on, bro. I should live on that block. All right, he can't get no pictures of us being on the street corners. I thought that would be an easy task. Yeah. Just put blacks on a corner store. Blacks at a corner store. Yeah, the old head's coming up, man. Hey, all right, whatever. Hey, read that again.
Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets, as a wild bull in a net.
So the Bible says we lie at the head of all the streets. You can, in Philly, definitely here in Philly, okay, Chicago, New York, Atlanta, LA, okay, no matter what city, we are on the corners of all those cities. Okay, the Bible's a true book. That is talking about us. On every street corner, in every hood, in every city. In Newark, Trenton. We see brothers all day. We sometimes we don't even think brothers wash, man. They be out there so early. Be like, damn, you. They be out there early. Like when we go to camp, brothers is out there early, man. Yeah, they get fresh just to stand on the corner. I'm serious. Brothers get fresh. Brothers really fresh Jordans, whatever, man, just to be on the block all day. It'd be 2 degrees out there, man. They out there. I'm talking about from the time we get out there to teach to the time we leave, they're still out there. I bet you if we were to drive back like later on, they would still be out there, man. I'm talking about from 9. Brothers be out there 9, 10 o'clock. On the corner. Yeah, lawn chairs. It's crazy. From there, read on.
They are full of the fury of the Lord.
Why? We full of the curses of the Lord. Full of the curses of the Lord. All right. From there, give me Lamentations 3:53. Remember, it said we are like a wild bull. We are monsters. Okay. The brothers today are, look, yeah, there you go. Thank you. Yeah, he struggled for that one, man. Yeah, this is what's going on. Okay, wild bulls caught up in the net, in the trap. Notice how we call it the trap house. Because it's a trap, man. Once you get in the system and come out, it's a trap. It's like a revolving door. All right. Give me Lamentations 3, chapter 3, verse 53.
Lamentations, chapter 3, verse 53. They have cut off my life in the dungeon and cast a stone upon me.
You see that? The Bible says they cut off our lives in the dungeon. In the prison houses. They have cut off our lives, man. Mass incarceration. Remember, they came out with the 3-strike rule. I think Clinton came out with the 3-strike rule. Okay, so they kept that thing going. They kept it going. Read that again.
They have cut off my life in the dungeon
Mm-hmm.
and cast a stone upon me.
Right, and cast a stone upon us. Give me Isaiah 42:22.
Isaiah chapter 42, verse 22. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes,
Mm-hmm.
and they are hid in prison houses.
And we are hid in prison houses. Okay, like he said, we fill up the prison houses. Okay, we're starting to almost equal to the amount of men in the prison houses that it was enslaved during the time of slavery. That's how bad it is. We filled the prison houses. All right, read that again.
But this is a people robbed and spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses.
And we're hid in prison houses. All right. From there, let's go back to Genesis 49 and finish it up. Genesis 49 and go back to verse 9.
Genesis chapter 49, verse 9.
Let me get there. Go ahead.
Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up.
Mm-hmm.
He stooped down. He couched as a lion and as an old lion.
So we show you Judah, how he couched down as a lion. And now we show you Judah as they became an old lion and how we became that old lion. All right, read on.
Who shall rouse him up?
Now, but the Bible says, who shall rise up the tribe of Judah? Who shall rouse him up? Go ahead.
The scepter shall not depart from Judah.
So we know when the Bible says, who shall rise him up? We have risen up. We have risen up. The tribe of Judah have risen up and went to go and teaching the other tribes.
Right.
So the way they try to keep us down, they couldn't really keep us down. They did their best, but they couldn't. Why? Because the Most High put the Spirit on our leaders to do what? To get this truth out to us. All right? So read that again.
The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come.
Because understand, during the end of the during the Turbulent 60s, towards the end, guess what was starting to spring up? Give me Psalms 85:11. That's really why they put everything in place, to keep this truth from coming out.
Psalm chapter 85, verse 11.
Read.
Truth shall spring out of the earth.
The Bible says the truth shall spring out of the earth. Toward the end of the 60s, the truth started to spring out of the earth until what is becoming today and until what is going to become. All right? So much as Esau did to try to stop us, to keep us down, to dumb us down, to putting the drugs in our community, discredit our leaders, the truth still sprung out of the earth. They could not stop. You cannot stop this movement. And you won't stop the movement. Right. All right? And with that, I'm going to close it out. Say shalom.
Making fathers, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs